Mine is probably much more simple and boring. Still, I think I have a great point for why I think it's the best app for 2022. And a lot of listeners will definitely already, or watchers will definitely know it. It's called Calm, which is one of the main meditation apps right now. But why I think it's such an important app right now. So I remember a couple of years ago listening to this Tim Ferriss, the author of 4-Hour Work Week.
Of course.
So Tim Ferriss has this podcast called Tribe of Mentors. I don't know if you have heard it. Basically, he started that podcast like sending up a bunch of questions to people that he admires in some way or another, right? So
isn't it a book? I think there's a book. Yeah. I thought it was a book.
I think so.
But he also did a podcast?
Yes.
Separate podcast? Like a separate podcast from the Tim Ferriss show? Okay.
Yes. And actually I think you find it as a different podcast from the Tim Ferriss show. So, and basically what he does there is that he asks a bunch of people that he considers mentors to record themselves with their answers to the answers that Tim Ferriss asks them. So one of these questions was like, what do you think it's like one of the key factors in your success, right? What would you say is like something really important in becoming who you are today? And something that I noticed, George, was the like overwhelming amount of mentors that mention in some way or another either mindfulness or meditation. Right. Okay. That always stuck with me. I heard this, I think, back in 2019 before the pandemic. But we do know for sure that the COVID-19 pandemic, and all what happened with this crisis, if that's the way we should call this event, has triggered a lot of stress. Like in some countries, we know that people are really unhappy. Let's think about China, right? Where they're still having lockdowns and they have very, very strict and tough COVID policies still in place. But what we were just mentioning a few minutes ago, like lots of people are still afraid of, getting in contact with someone who is maybe infected with COVID. And so the levels of stress and anxiety in our societies are really high. So at the end, I think that Calm is a great tool because I have been using it to start like developing the habit of meditation and trying to have a much, I think mindfulness, it's a great tool to manage, both stress, anxiety, but also help you to get under control, all that mental energy and mental activity that sometimes if you are not properly focused, it won't help you to get where you want in life. Right. So I think that there are several reasons to develop this. I don't know if it's like mindfulness skills, but I totally know. And I think there's lots of research that point to the fact that people who meditate with frequency, use meditation and try to have some sort of mindfulness, they have lower levels of stress and anxiety, but it's also helping them to be much more focused. And I think on times where we have so much stimulus around us, like, I fight so much against not opening Instagram every now and then, like it's some sort of addictive, opening Twitter, opening different social media platforms.
Twitter is a difficult one.
Twitter is a really difficult one, especially after I'm finding it much more difficult not to open Twitter after Elon Musk took over. I don't know. It's like gossip, like this whole FTX debacle. This what has been happening with Sam Bankman-Fried. It's like my Mexican telenovela. So but it's all of these stimulus and all these opportunities to not get focused on what's important to get done to achieve your goals. I think it's one of the main problems right now with entrepreneurs and founders and business people or like almost everyone is suffering from this. So I think Calm.
I know quite
definitely.
Surprisingly, I actually know quite a few very high performing entrepreneurs who've raised millions and millions of dollars and seem to, I mean, sometimes it's difficult to know exactly what's going on in a startup, but they seem to be really doing quite well. And some of them are not on Twitter. And like
that's crazy.
Tech, also, I met a guy who lives in San Francisco. Like he has a team in San Francisco. Like, so he's between San Francisco and New York. So, you know, like in the epicenter, in the eye of the storm, so to speak, and doesn't have Twitter. And has raised over $100 million for his tech startup. It's not on Twitter. So
yeah.
So what is your meditation practice?
So basically, what I'm doing right now with meditation,
routine, kind of.
So let me tie this to Calm. Why I think Calm is the best meditation or mindfulness app right now. First, it's basically free. I mean, for beginners, it can be free, and it's really designed for people who have no experience with meditation, George. So I think that's like, it's really important when you want to achieve some sort of change to make it really smooth and really easy. And I think Calm helps you with this. So basically, Anais and I started having meditation with the app when we were at our bed at night, right? Just before getting to sleep. So we just starting like, you know, listening to, because it helps you by a guided meditation. And then, of course, you can pay money to have like much more complex services within the app. But I think it's pretty easy for adults. And something which I think is wonderful, and I think it needs to start being part of the conversation related to children and the welfare of children. Like, I think that just think about your children, your daughters, how it's going to be life for them in 20 years in terms of so many options to get distracted with. I mean, it's even difficult to imagine how it's going to be in 15,
the
20
attention
years.
economy.
Yes.
Two very
George,
scary words.
Attention economy.
Very scary words. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. So I think that these kind of apps are really important, not just for adults, but also for children. And Calm is also suitable for children. So yeah, that's why I think it's my 2022 app. And right now what we're doing is spending a few minutes every night when we're at bed doing some meditation exercises. And I don't know if the term is visualization. Do you, right? So we are also
visualization.
Yeah. So, and to be honest, we are seeing some important differences. So,
super interesting.
Yeah,
super interesting. I personally have never tried out meditation. What's your definition of meditation? Like, for example, the one thing that I do, I think, and I feel like it helps me to like kind of like start the day off the right way is go for a walk with my dogs, a 30-minute walk in the mountains, no phone, nothing. Like there's no distraction, and
that's
I'm just purely focused on.
To me,
that's meditation to me as well. Like, and I feel like I definitely feel the days where I go for that 30-minute walk in the morning, no distraction. It's the first thing I do. I get out of bed, go for the walk, no phone, no nothing. That's kind of my style of meditation. And I even like when I get to the top of or to the end point of my trail, where then like turn around and circle back, I kind of like pause for a moment and just like look into the distance, and like I just look onto the mountains, and that's kind of my meditative practice. And I personally feel like those days I'm way more productive and I feel more balanced, and I feel like, you know, the day has already started off really well.
Yeah.
And then I hate it when it's like raining or something like that, because the trail like is completely muddy and it might kind of deter me from going on that walk. Yeah, that's kind of my form of meditation.
That's meditation to me. So I think meditation is any kind of practice or activity that in one way or another helps you to like clear your mind. And in some way, George, it helps you to improve your ability to focus on the present moment. I hope this makes sense, but sometimes I like to do some sort of gardening in San Gil. And I think it's meditation, because I'm doing this like really manual, like it's an activity that involves my physical input a lot, and I don't need to think a lot in abstract terms. I'm just right there and focusing on that moment. So I like all my worries or everything that I'm always thinking about goes away, and I'm just there, like doing that. So yeah, definitely. So calm. Give it a try.